think I'll talk to this section today. Have you ever heard the saying, peeling an onion? And how when you peel an onion, you peel something back, and there's always something more to peel back? We're going to explore that a little bit. It seems that whatever my topic is going to be for the week, I get to experience it. The good thing is it gives me stories, but sometimes it just sucks. Because you get to experience, and it may not be what you want to experience. So I'm going to start off with the idea that we understand that we're all coming from a place where there's but oneness. There's an infinite power and presence that always has been, always will be, existing as all things. So while we appear to be separate, we are really connected. The consciousness that is the God is the same consciousness that we are, and we are points of consciousness within that. As a point of consciousness within God, we have the freedom to express, to create, to choose. We do so through our mental atmosphere. Our mental atmosphere is created by the sum total of all the thoughts we've consciously and unconsciously had until this time. Pretty clear so far? Following this? So I have a mental atmosphere that is everything I've ever thought, everything that has ever been in my mind, consciously and unconsciously, and is that atmosphere that draws to me the experience. I don't really create, I have the experience of what I am. I like that way of saying it. I have the experience of what I am. So every person is having the experience of who they are in a moment. Now, we talk about the idea that we've got to peel away and go deeper and deeper and deeper. And this idea came to me. Has anyone here been a photographer? And I mean a photographer where you take in my time, going back a few days in film, you had a 35 millimeter, and you could put on different lenses on there, and that lens would either bring it into focus or out further away, bring it closer, or you could add filters onto the end of the onto the end of the lens. And that filter could be a rose filter. It could be a gray filter. It could be a blue filter. And the filters were built so that you could keep adding filters on, so you were almost unlimited, so that if you took that camera with no filters on and you took a picture and you added one filter on, it would look different. Another filter on top of that, it would look different. Another filter on it would look different. And so by the time you've added all these filters on, what was once clear is no longer even the image you're looking at. Okay, so picture that in every area of life. We've built up experiences with all these filters that we put on through the lens. Now, the lens that we were born with, that I talked about with the beautiful baby Indy at the beginning, is her lens is clear. It doesn't have all these filters put on. Now, keep in mind, this is really cool, because we have some filters that we look at this with, and we have some filters that we look at this with, so we don't have the same filters looking at the same things. Does that make sense? So some people can look at health and be really healthy and not have much money. Some people can have a lot of money and not have much health. Some people can have great relationships with a spouse but not have great relationships with a parent. You see, because there's different filters built on there. And so when we start thinking about it, what are we trying to do? We're trying to get back to the original. We're trying to get back to that clear light, to get the clear picture, and then we're trying to put on a lens, a filter that we've chosen. A lens and filter that will create the perfect picture. So there's like a UV filter, I remember. So if you've got a beautiful sunset in Maui in there, and it's looking, but there's a glare in it, and you put on this special UV filter, all of a sudden, it's perfect, and you've created the perfect picture. This is what photographers do. Now they don't do that so much, they just Photoshop everything. But in the past, it was these filters. So what really came to me this week is this idea that from the moment we're born, we're taught to be sensitive to what other people think and feel about us. We are taught over and over and over again that we should care what other people think. Do you realize what a prison that is? Because you have no idea what filter they're looking through, nor could you possibly have any idea how they're seeing it in life. So something will happen, and you will press someone's button, and you will go off in your merry direction, and everything is great in your life. You meet this person a month later, and they tell you, you know, you really hurt me. You really did this to me. This really affected me. Did you really do something? Or was it just their button? Was it something in their unhealed past that got triggered that you had no idea it would trigger? I want you to know I do this often. I am perpetually apologizing, not because of what I said, because I'm empathizing and saying, when I say I'm sorry, I'm saying, if I had known that was a button, I could have been sensitive to that button. Does that make sense? That's a different way of apologizing, because you can't apologize because someone chooses to respond to you, right? Because one of the things, this is, you know, we were playing with the idea the other day, a group of us were, how is it people come into a church like Agape and they come and they get feeling good and they leave? It's real simple, because not everyone can embrace the idea of personal responsibility. Not everyone can understand that you are 100% responsible for your life. And when you are 100% responsible for your life, there is no idea, no possibility of you being a victim, because you are in control of how you respond to everything. So if someone's coming at you with a negative energy, you can simply respond in an infinite way. You can say, hey, stop. I don't want to hear any more of that. Or you can say, oh, please tell me more, and allow that energy to keep going. Or you can say, you know, thank you, I honor who you are, and I'm going over here. You do not have to be with people who are not a like vibration. Are you hearing that? Loving does not mean being that. We've gotten so distorted in this idea of self-love that says we've got to be with everyone. We've got to treat everyone like our best friend or like our love or our romance, and that's just not true. And so one of the things that came up, and I'm going to really bring this out, and it's a pretty touchy subject. We confuse sex with love. They are not connected. Can you hear that? They are not connected in any way, shape, or form. You can have sex with someone and not love them. You can love someone and not have sex with them. Are you hearing that? Sex is an act of procreation that, when chosen to do with someone, becomes a beautiful connection, a way of embellishing a relationship to a higher vibration on the physical level. But on the spiritual level and on the mental level, intimacy is being authentic. It's being real. It's not trying to please someone, but it's about accepting them as they are and being yourself authentically with them and allowing them to be back. And now you form this relationship where the world can live in peace. You hear that? It's peaceful when you accept people as they are. And see, the interesting thing is, we've been brought up and conditioned to fit the mold that society, wherever we are, wants us to fit into. My parents told me I had to be a good little boy. And I can remember so many times that when I was being Lee, was not being a good little boy. And I would get grounded all the time. I was grounded all the time. I was 17 and a half and I was still being grounded. I came home from prom at 3:30 in the morning and I had been expected to be home at midnight. I was grounded for a month. I knew I was going to be grounded, so when I came home at 3:30, I left at 5:30 so I could be the next day with my girlfriend. Because the punishment wasn't going to change. So this is something I've had to work through over and over again. Here's the interesting thing that I got the realization of. In 1987, I took an executive profile test. I was a regional controller for an insurance company here that had a region in Dallas, and we had a large operation that encompassed 5 states, including Texas. And we all had to take a management profile. And in the management profile, they measured you against 5,000 other executives. So you were on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being very high, 0 being low. If you were at 5, you were like the average of all the executives being measured against, okay? So on sociability, I was an 8. Can you imagine? I'm social. I am social. Now, at the same time, on this one quality called need to be liked, I was a 0.2. I really didn't have a need to be liked, and I didn't care. But my boss, who was a 2 on sociability and a 9 on need to be liked, felt I needed to change. He felt I needed to be like him. Now, I rebelled against that. Or I thought I did. And then I watched my career as I went on from 1987 to 2004. And then I've watched myself as I got out of the business world and I went and got my education, and now I'm a minister. I've been a minister now for 7 years this August. And I realized that I still had embraced what someone else had said. And what got me to think about it is this gentleman, J.D. Messenger, who was that I met with last week, that's going to be at Agape in August, sent me a numerology report about when my birthday was and my name and what the numbers would say. Interesting thing about me. And it said this: you're sensitive to what others think about you. And I saw that and I rejected it. That's not true. That's not true. That's not what I believe about myself. And then I had to explore and go deeper and realize, wait a second. Do you really believe that? What is the reaction you had over here? What is the reaction you had over here? What is the reaction you had over here? Oh my God, you're sensitive. I don't want you to know that. Can you imagine a minister being sensitive? That'd be disgusting. I'm kidding. Sensitivity is good. Being sensitive to others, but being sensitive so you can please others is a different thing. Does that make sense? Being sensitive to the vibration that someone's putting out means that you're going to respond with a like energy, but it's not being done from the standpoint of wanting to please them. It's being done from the standpoint of wanting to connect with them, and in that connection, we can raise each other's vibration and go to a higher level experiencing life. That was so profound to have that insight. And then so I took it further and I said, so wait a second, everyone's got all of these filters on their lives. How do we help them? And I come back to what we teach at Agape all the time. It's about our spiritual practice. It is about our daily spiritual practice. Let me be really clear about that. Anyone here ever hear me say daily spiritual practice before? If your hands aren't going up and you're not a newcomer, please leave the building. Because it is about that. Let me explain why. Why meditate? The hardest thing in the world is to meditate, to get our mind still. Because why? We've got all these filters. And these filters don't want us to see it differently. They're so anchored, we become so attached to them that we want the world to be looked through these things, this mirage. A mirage. Boy, I created a new word there. A mirage. But that's what it is. It's a mirage. But when we meditate and we stop the thoughts, all of a sudden, we go back to clear light. We go back to seeing things without the filters. We've allowed those filters to come out of our mind, and we've gotten into the clarity of seeing life without filter. Now, here's the key. Once we've gone without filter, now it's time to install a filter that we've chosen. And that's where we use the practices of prayer, affirmations, gratitude, forgiveness, visualization, visioning, journaling, all of these tools, whichever ones resonate with you, you are creating the filter or the slide that you're putting in front of the light that becomes your light. And it becomes your experience in your life. So people say, why do you meditate twice a day? And this is what every guru that I've ever met, whether it be an Indian guru, an American guru, imagination guru, because we have those too, twice a day. 20 minutes twice a day seems to be the optimum for anyone in meditation. Every great spiritual tradition teaches twice a day. Why? Start out in the morning, clearing your mind, looking through life through divine light. Immediately afterwards, plant your seed for the day. What is it you expect of this day? What do you plan to see? How are you going to be in this day? Plant that. In the day, you could be using your prayer beads, doing affirmations while you drive, doing a prayer, being in gratitude, doing all that during the day. Then after you get home, normally we all pretty much have day jobs, and normally around 5, 6 o'clock we get home, stop. Meditate again. Come back to divine light. Because in the course of the day, guess what happens? We've built up new filters. Because our boss has done this, our coworker may have done this, we've had this experience and that experience, and we want to take control back. So what do? We go back to meditation to release that, to get the clear light, and then we plant a new thought of how am I going to go forward with the rest of my day. And then when we go to sleep at night, we give thanks for our day, for everything that happened, and we set the intention that now I'm going to release my mind. All the thoughts in my mind, I let go. And I'm going to now sleep in peace so that I wake up refreshed and nourished. Because at night, I know there's nothing I can do to deal with anything. And here's the beauty of it. If you go to sleep with that idea, you wake up in the morning, there's nothing you're going to have to do with anything. Because more than 90% of the time, the best action to take is no action. If you have a problem, the best action in most cases is no action. Most of the time, it's an emotional reaction. You hearing that? An emotional reaction. It is not a conscious choice. And to live the life that we're meant to live a life of conscious choice, meaning a conscious choice is one where we choose the filter that we want to see life in. But if we're reacting, we're taking on someone else's filters. You see, life is not about having a script. Life is about being present in the moment and knowing what you value. So if I were to say to you, I value a connection of oneness. I value getting deeper and experiencing oneness. I value speaking and teaching. I value learning. I value interpersonal relationships, and I value health. Those are my top 5. So if I have that as the base or the black or the green screen behind me, then when I go through life is I have no script other than to achieve those 5 things. In everything I do, I'm seeking to have that experience. Therefore, I'm a conscious creator, and I'm able to go with the flow. I'm able to let go and let God. I'm not saying God outside of me. I'm able to let go and let the God that I've chosen reflect in me as my consciousness, creating and drawing to me everything that I desire. This is what it's about at Agape. It's about how do we support each person that ever comes into the center to uncover their true set of values and support them as they build their spiritual practice and they live this. And when they have trials and tribulations, we support them. We don't sympathize with them. Are you hearing that? Sympathy means you take down your level of energy to an energy below where you are. You stay where you are, you recognize where they are, and you see them differently. You see them as whole. You see them as perfect. You raise that level of consciousness where you're not ashamed and say, how can I support you? You see, that's a very different statement than how can I help you? Supporting you means you know that they've got within them all that they need, and now you're saying, well, you may not see it now, I'll see it for you. That's what a practitioner like Jean does. She doesn't change you. She supports you in your highest vision. That's what each of us in this community do. We don't look at you and see your faults. We see you're magnificent because you cannot be faulty. You cannot be faulty because you're an individualization of God. And in God, there's no such thing as imperfection. Right now, right here, no matter what your experience is, you are perfect, you are whole, and you are complete. If anyone tells you different, turn away, walk away, and smile, because you've just committed an act of self-love. Did you hear that? By you focusing and you taking control of who you allow in your life and how they treat you, you are self-loving. You're not taught that in society, but in your heart, you'll know if that's right or wrong for you. What I know is that you're divinely guided, divinely blessed, divinely inspired, and you will act toward that because it's your natural DNA. Put a smile on your face. Don't take life so seriously. Life is meant to be enjoyed. It's meant to be fun. It's meant to be playful. Did you see Indy when I held her, how playful she was? Come here, Diane, let me lift you up and hold you. Will you be as playful as Indy? Diane says, not me, no, not me, please, don't single me out. The problem at Agape right now is I can know most of your names. As we grow, and know that we will grow, because I was asked this last week about a vision, and my vision is huge, and you're all a part of it. It's about transforming the world and making a world a place where unconditional love is the way of life, where we can be at peace, where we can be abundant, where we can be healthy, where we can share, where we can nurture, where we can express, create, and be greater than we've ever been before. Hold that vision for yourself, for your family, for your work, and for everyone. Now you're seeing life through the eyes of God. And that is who you are. I want to thank you for joining us today. I am so grateful that you took your time to watch or listen to this message. If you found this message beneficial, I would ask you to go to our website. Once there, click on the Contribute button and experience the joy of conscious and purposeful giving. It is through your gifts that we are able to bring this message to the world. I would also ask you to please share this message with anyone you feel might benefit. Again, I want to thank you for joining me and the Agape community as together we bring joy to life.